Okay.
Right then. So, I am also just looking to see if there's anything even older than that, because I'm sure, because I've got in my recordings, I do remember doing a run in late 2013, but I don't seem to have any recording of that. And I know it was a 208 because that was what my split time was. Well, that's what my wasn't even live split, it was W split back then had
Oh, wow.
in it.
Do you remember what the in-game time was? IGT?
I probably wouldn't even have checked, to be honest.
Ah.
The latest run that I do have that's finished is a 211. Did I bring up the... Please tell me I brought that up. Apparently I called the profile name to earn, so I can see my humour hasn't changed since then. Let's see.
Okay. No, I checked.
Apparently it was 1 hour 50 in game time.
1 hour 50.
Yeah, so that was 13 minutes off the world record. And I guess one of the big resources I should probably...
Oh boy.
Wow.
Was that a car accident or just someone screeching?
It was almost one.
Oh boy.
I do have, if I sort by oldest on Reddit, because I probably have the exact post I saw when I met KJ or Blasted for the first time, because it all came from a Reddit post on r/speedrun saying, oh, what are the some games that you run that you don't know that no one else runs. And I was going to go in there and be like, oh yeah, Fable, no one else runs Fable, and he'd already gone in there and said, oh, I only run Fable. So obviously we
I'm like, yo, you and me.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask how y'all came across each other. I
Yeah,
assumed
so
it was through
that was-
Twitch.
Yeah, so that was Blasted, and that was the first, because all I had to go off of was the Speed Demos Archive run by David Arnold. And then my, how many years, it would have been like 9 to 10 years of game knowledge then, which would be like sort of replaying the game every 6 months to a year for fun sort of thing. And then I sort of used that to adapt the route, because I could see that the run was good for its time, but then there was also stuff that he did that was slow. So so I sort of worked off that, so because I was sort of like watching, I think it was back then and I still do watch GTA speedruns, and it was sort of like that thing of, oh hey, people actually do this as like a thing. So I based it off that and thought, you know what, I could probably do this, because the first game I ever tried to run was Oblivion, and I think I did like 2 or 3 runs of that and then just stopped, and I thought, alright, let me give Fable a try instead. So I went for that, used the SDA run, and then sort of incorporated my own route into it.
Awesome.
And then went from there, and I am having some real trouble finding this. Would have been 5 years ago now.
Man. Okay, well, my first question was going to be, how did you first find out about Fable running? But I guess you already answered that question.
Well, I mean, I've known about Fable speedrunning for a long time, like back in the day when Google Video was still a thing.
Oh, wow.
I remember being like 9 years old on Google Video and seeing what was at the time the 151 run, which was the OG version of Fable. That would be I think his name is 3 Enki. I'll call him Enki. I don't know his actual...
I've always thought of it as Thrinky, but I don't actually know.
Yeah. I'll ask him at some point. No. I will say, though, it is kind of cool that David Arnold, who did the SDA run, is actually, like, still around and still active, and, like, he's joined the Discord and stuff.
Yeah, I see he's in the Discord, but is he, like, really active? As in, like, does he watch runs and...
He's watched a couple of runs. He doesn't really run this game anymore. I think he was always more of a bully speedrun. like not like a bully, but like bully the game, obviously.
Right.
But I think it came from, I can't remember where it was, but he commented on one of KJ's videos, and someone was like, "Oh, dude, David Arnold just commented," and then I think someone said something like, not like rude, but like a little bit sort of a little bit cheeky, and then he sort of left a comment in there in the Discord, and we are just like, wait, you're here? Because I'd seen his username in there for quite a while at the time, because there was only about 60 people. This was probably about a year or two ago, and I'd seen his name, and I was like, oh wait, you're David Arnold? What are you doing here?
Yeah, because he goes by Bpop, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, Bpop 101 or Bpop 100. So yeah, that was like when I first saw it back in the day of Google Video, and like, I think I remember watching that and thinking, on one hand, this is really, really cool, and this is really, really fast. And then at the same time also thinking this is really, really slow. But at the time I was like 9 years old and I wouldn't know the first thing about speedrunning. This was like very, very early days.
Right.
So that sort of stopped happening. I remember back in like 2011 or something, briefly watching the current SDA run, the 1:37 in game time one, and thinking, wow, this is insane, I could never do this. Because I think I even looked up, like back then, it's like, oh, I wonder if there's another Fable speedrunner. I looked it up and I found it, and it was just like, I can never do this. But then it was back in 2013 when I sort of started watching Twitch and speedruns there. I thought, oh, you know what, let me give this a go. And then I sort of watched the run, figured out what he did that was like, not bad, but like, you know, unoptimal, and then sort of worked my way there. I didn't really have a route. I remember not really having a route written down. It was all sort of just going off memory, so I'd forget a lot of things. But it was me meeting Blasted T that sort of like, we both sort of pulled our fingers out and said, right, let's actually make a route and work together to find stuff. Because I remember like when we first met, it was like we found so much stuff in like that very first few days.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically like every day we'd be like, oh, found a new strat, multiple times a day sort of thing. Unfortunately, we didn't have good hindsight because we did this all via Steam, and obviously Steam, you can't really go back to old.
Oh yeah, you can't save your messages,
which is a bit of a pain.
I was gonna lead that into like, what was it like in sort of the earlier days when the two of you met and were doing other things like that? Because that was before my time, and I think it was before even some other people's times, like Clean or KJ or anybody else. Like, they don't have any notes on that sort of era. So I just want to know what it was like in those early days.
So it was a very interesting time, because it was like one of those things where there was never really anything like that in the past. And it was just like this sort of very new concept of, let's work together to figure out this speedrun, for me at least. Because obviously I'd seen other communities, like there was the GTA community, there was obviously Super Mario 64. I think Siglemic was a very big name back then, because this was like, we're still talking late 2013 here. And it was sort of like this thing of, rather than this being sort of something I can just do for fun, it was like, oh, we can actually turn this into a proper route. And our ultimate goal was to obviously beat the SDA time and get it on SDA and have our name in the papers and stuff, all of the everything that came along with it. Obviously it's not really that much, but you know what I mean. And the only other thing I was aware of, which I can also link you here, was actually Giant Steps was doing stuff very early on as well, and he has a run from 2014, which was a 2:07.
Was that sort of back in October?
No, this was February 2014, so this was extremely early days. So I met Blasted, so when was that thread made? I think it was like August or July or something. Yeah, July 5th, and that was sort of like when we both started working together, because at the time I'd only done a couple of runs. I was more like, I sort of did one or two runs that didn't really go anywhere, and then I just spent like 6 months rooting. Like every day I would try and root a little bit more of the game and figure out a little bit more of the game and optimize this little bit or something and sort of work my way down. And then obviously having a second person really helped, because it was, in my mind, I was like, oh yes, this is the optimal strat, but then someone else might look at it and go, well, why aren't you just doing this, this and that? It's obviously quicker. And you're like, I would have never thought of that. So it's like almost like peer reviewing each other's work.
Yeah, that's the beauty of speedrunning and the community effort, is that it's like one person might think that they have the best strat, and another person thinks they have the best strat, but then you can actually compare them and they go, oh, you have the faster one or I have the faster one, and we can combine them to make like the ultimate run, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And I think if I go back, there was a lot of back and forth where, because we were both quite stuck in our ways, not in like in a rude way. We were never rude to each other, but it was like sort of like we were both convinced that our strats were the fastest. So for instance, I was the initial person who said, right, let's try doing Attack Orchard Farm. Or sorry, Protect Orchard Farm rather than Attack Orchard Farm, because I think in all my days of playing Fable, I'd only ever done Attack Orchard Farm like twice, but even then I could see it was slow in the SDA run, which used Attack Orchard Farm. So that was one of the things where I was like, this is definitely quicker. And I think I only ever did a run with it for like once or twice ever, and that's probably not recorded anywhere. Thank God. And the other thing that we had a lot of back and forth about, I remember, is what hero souls were the fastest. So we were both in agreement that killing Thunder was the fastest thing.
Yep.
But Blasted was convinced that going to collect your Mother's Soul and then Nostro's Soul was quicker, and I was convinced that doing the whole evil route was quicker. So I've actually got a video here, because what I would do is I would just record it and then just send him like an unlisted YouTube video saying, here you go, I'm right, you're wrong, sort of thing. And how do I even open this? I can't this new YouTube thing is, I'm trying to figure it out.
The new studio thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan. Then again, I never really like any of their iterations of studio.
Yeah, so this was me doing a sort of like very, very much sort of basic comparison between doing good versus evil. And obviously, I ate my words like 3 years later when we found out that killing Nostro was faster, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah, I want to get back to the Nostro thing at some point, but we'll leave that for now.
Of course, but it was almost like one of those things where I sort of Blasted was more the one who actually did the runs, and I was the one, even back then, who was just like in the back end trying to figure out new routes and new ways to make things faster and timing out stuff. And in essence, that still is the case today. I'm usually the one who ends up going to do all the routing and testing and stuff for everything. A lot of the big route changes end up coming from it wouldn't be stuff I found. It was like new tech was usually not my forte, but it was like new strategies using that tech was always what I did, sort of thing. So Obviously I didn't find summon clipping, but I optimized summon clipping down to what it was, or like the only thing I can think of that wasn't me was which probably I think KJ mentioned, was berserk rolling, where that was all him. He sort of came up with that, and that was his baby of, rolling with the berserk is a whole bunch faster. And then I just sort of slowly incorporated that. Also, luckily, I have literally on this video just paused, and like in the bottom of the video, there is a tiny bit of a window which has the name of the notes I use. So I'm going to actually try and do a search for that and see if I can find them.
I'm trying to remember if I know anything about the Mother Soul, because I'm pretty sure I've only ever done that route like one time. I always otherwise would just kill Briar Rose because I never liked her.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was it was that you went to Oakvale, you would
go to the graveyard,
go to the Memorial Garden, and then like it would basically be you kill a bunch of screamers,
Oh, that's right.
and then it would like one of them would have like a little fire thing around it and would keep taking away health. And I remember it was either used in Flame. Yeah, it would have been in Flame. It would have been Divine Fury. The strat was basically just inflame them all until they die, and hope for the best. It wasn't ever really a risky strat, but it was just sort of like one of those things where I was like, killing these things doesn't seem that much faster. Like my thinking was you're already there at Briar Rose, so why not just kill her there and then sort of thing. That was how I thought for all of them, not thinking like in terms of directly timing each one. So I think I've just found the initial notes I used back. So the last modified date is 7th of January 2014. So this is dinosaur notes right here. I guess I can upload this to you. And ironically, it's called ZZZ_neuron notes.
What's an ODT file?
That's
it's a Word. Okay.
Open Office. Oh, I think I've also just found another run in here. Let me see if this has anything. Oh no, it's just David Arnold's run. Never mind.
Oh, these are your notes. Nice. Nice.
And this would have been, I think, all I would have had to go off of in terms of writing stuff. And in fairness, these actually look like a lot nicer notes than the ones currently.
Yeah, hang on. Let me copy and paste. These are what my notes are looking like for all of the runs. It's kind of just sloppy all over the place.
Yeah, I did make, if it helps you, here's some notes I did for the 2014 run, because the very first recording I have was actually one where I didn't raid quit, but it was like the game crashed during Arena, so I was just like, alright, cool game, and then I just stopped streaming, I guess.
Fair enough.
So I made notes from up to that, and it was this. So it is, yeah, mostly the same thing, except these are even older, because I didn't even get Assassin's Rush until when I was upgrading at Orchard Farm. Like, that was how bare bones the route was at the time. Was like, I didn't even think, oh yeah, get Assassin's Rush 1 starting out. Like, no, go. I think at the time I thought that Assassin's Rush 2 or Assassin's Rush 1 wasn't faster than just regular rolling. That was, I think, my mindset at the time, and that it was only Assassin's Rush 2 and higher that made a difference. And in the aforementioned run, even though I got Assassin's Rush at the end of Orchard Farm, I literally didn't even use it once until like the start of Bandit Camp, and I may have been shouting at my monitor a little bit 20 minutes ago. It's like, just rush, come on! So you can see, like I say, apparently I remember Ass Rush as a thing 30 minutes in.
Yeah. Hang on. What I always thought was interesting was a couple of the runs in the early days went for the Sentinus instead of like the Master Greatsword. Yeah,
so that was one of the route changes that Blasted and I did, because I that was like one of the things I specifically remember. There was two things. There was buying and selling it at Bowerstone South, and going for the Master Longbow and Greatsword, because the original route, so the SDA route, and then what I did as well, because I was sort of like copying that bit of the SDA route, was to buy and sell a whole bunch at Bowerstone, get an Obsidian Greatsword and Ebony Longbow at the merchant there, and then use that until you get the Sentinus. And that would sort of work, because you could still, like, in essence, you could still probably use that route today, because you can use the Obsidian Greatsword and you can still 2-cycle Twin Blade, but obviously I think it was like probably a 3 or 4 cycle back then. And then I remember at the time when we was just going crazy and just like finding new stuff every day, like once every couple of hours sort of thing. That was one of the things was, oh yeah, we can get a Master Longbow and a Master Greatsword. And it was like, great, we can use this for Twin Blade. And I can't remember when we actually scrapped getting the Sentinus, but I remember it was either quite early or quite late on. I guess a good reference would be to actually look at the videos and see.
I'm trying to see here. I think I have notes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I did record every single run I did, or every single stream I did, because I had the backup stream recordings option on.
Yeah, Blasted T's 148.27 does
Yeah.
not go for Sentinels, I don't think. I
Yeah,
see
'cause
that
it
he
was like
has the Master Greatsword and the longbow.
So I think it was one of those things where the way we would one-up each other when we was beating our runs wasn't to actually go faster, it was just to find new strats. Not in like a malicious way of I'm going to hide these strats from you, but it would be like, oh, I found these cool strats, I'm going to do a run now. And then you'd like either beat the other person's time or beat the record. And then they would do the same thing and find something else sort of thing. And then keep going back and forth from there. It was all in good fun. Let's see.
That's good.
So I remember also when I got the record for Fable, it was actually in one day. I just cut down the time a whole bunch. So I think I've got the date here. It was the 31st of August 2014. I worked the time down to a 1:49, and then twice in a day. So I remember in the morning I did a run, and I got a 1:48.34, or it was very close to Blaster's time. It didn't quite beat his time,
but almost.
And then, what's that? Sorry,
but almost.
Yeah, it was almost. It was like within a minute of Blaster T's run. And I was like, all right, I can do this. I think I messed up something. I remember going down, talking to my brother, bang, like, oh, I got so close. I just need to do one more run. I've got it. And then I did another run later that afternoon, and that was the 1:45.35, which was the first record I got. And that was like the, I guess that was like sort of you could kind of call it like the start of the proper Fable is a proper speed game sort of thing, rather than two people running for fun. I guess that would be like, if I could put any stamp on a point and say, yeah, this is when it became a proper run, it would probably be that point. Because that was like a run that I was getting ready to package up and send to SDA. Obviously not physically, but like I remember writing like run comments for that and all of that, and then Blasted beat... No, I think it was that I beat Blasted's run, he's like, yo, congrats. And then nothing happened for a little bit, and I remember beating the run again on stream, and I've got the recording of that as well, and that was a 1:43.17, which I believe is only on my Twitch. And then from there, Blasted beat it, and then we had the back and forth again. So it was very much an interesting time for Fable runs.
Indeed.
Let's see if I can find the latest route where I didn't get Sentinels. I remember also I had a split for everything. That was another thing we like half-jokingly butted heads over, is that Blasted sort of had only the splits that we have right now, and I had splits for everything. So I had childhood, Beatles, doing the 3 tests, graduating the guild, buying and selling to 8,000 gold. All of that stuff was all still stuff that I did, just because I wanted to know exactly where I was and where to save time, and I think Blasted didn't sort of really mind that much. So, let's see. This run from, again, early 2014 didn't have any, it still used the sentence. Here's a run from the
your
July,
1:45.35 doesn't have it either.
Yeah, so that probably would have been the time when we sort of optimized the route down, made sure we knew exactly what we were doing, and then went from there. And here's another time, 2:08.48, and that was in May 2014. And again, that would have been before I found Blasted's. Found out about Blasted. And yeah, again, I used the sentence there, so that probably would have been something where Blasted probably came to me and said, yo, don't use this. And another little side note is that I guess it was the first time I used live split, and I remember I would always forget to split because I had to split for spending at the guild, so I knew how fast that was, and I remember always forgetting to split. So the initial one after Orchard Farm is called Guild Spending, in all caps, split, split, split. And then after White Balverine, there was more Guild Spending, split, damn it. Because I would always seem to forget. That's one thing I remember. So, it was... Did I remember to Assassin's Rush here? I kind of want to see. So I did get Assassin's Rush. So it was probably one of those things where I figured out Assassin's Rush was faster. Yeah, so I am using Assassin's Rush very early on. So it was probably one of those things that I figured out pretty quickly that this is quite slow to do. Let's see, what else is there? There's a lot more Oblivion runs than I remember. Maybe it was more than 2 runs. Let's see. Yep, I've still got Assassin's Rush here. So it would have been at some point in January I figured out, because there's a run here from late January and that doesn't have Assassin's Rush in it. Or that does have Assassin's Rush in it, sorry.
It's all good.
And that's like right at the start of the game. And I think it was at this point, so it was in January, that I made splits for beating the SDA run. So I remember typing in the splits for each and every run, and it being such a laborious process. And I can see that I wasn't doing very good here, because literally every single part of the run I'm losing time in the range of several minutes at some point.
Oh boy.
Oh, I saved time on Arena. I saved 1.5 minutes. Good job.
Nice.
Good job, me. Because I think at the time my thinking was make the start of the game hard to make the rest of the game easy. Of like just sort of getting everything you possibly can at the start of the run, like before Arena, and then after Arena, just having the game be completely easy, sort of thing. And in essence, that's still kind of true to get today. I was also surprised watching back the run and how much stuff is still the same. So obviously, like, movement and stuff is optimized nowadays, but like the XP route for Orchard Farm is basically identical, except for the fact we get summoned now. It was just stuff like that where it seems really obvious nowadays, but at the time it was nobody peer reviewed your work, so
right.
There was nothing to base it off of.
It was the Wild West.
It was literally, that's the best way to describe it, is it was the Wild West of Fable speedrunning. So yeah.
So tell me about you mentioned Giant Steps had been running, I think, early 2014. So I guess when did I'm trying to think of the best way to word this question, right? Like,
when did we meet, or like when did he sort of become a
like when did you join the community? I guess would be the best way to describe it. Like you and Blasted seem to have a thing going where y'all are chatting on a basis and comparing strats and doing races against each other and stuff like that. But when did Giant Steps really step into the picture like that?
No pun intended there. So I remember it was that it would have either been, I think it probably would have been when you could follow game streams on Twitch. And I thought that was a lot more newer than it was, but it must have been back in 2014. There was a new feature on Twitch of, oh yeah, you can follow a game now. It was either that, or I went to the game page of Fable and I saw him streaming there. And I remember specifically he was at the arena, and me just like freaking out a little bit in chat, because it's like, oh my god, it's another runner. Because when there's, as far as you know, 2 runners, an SDA run and a dream, and then suddenly a third person steps into the foray, it's like everything turns upside down, sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
So that would have been, it looks like 2014, judging by his highlights on Twitch. And I think it probably would have been October 2014, because he did some runs then, and that probably would have been when I saw him. And I think he recognized me. I think I said hi to him. He's like, "Oh, hey, Etem, I've heard about your runs or something." But it was sort of like that thing of I sort of said hi to him. He did. It looks like, judging by this, he did some runs in October, the 10th of October, and then he sort of stopped, because I remember after I got, it would have been 1:30. So
1:34:20.
October. Yeah, so 1:34:20. So that was in November, and I remember there being almost no activity for like several months. It would have been like January that things started to pick up again, because I remember there being like quite a few months, like 3 months of no activity. I remember I didn't touch Fable for several months, and I remember Giant Steps wasn't streaming. Blasted, I think, we're moving on to other stuff by then, and it was sort of like it just sort of was in stasis for those few months. I think that was the longest hiatus of Fable runs. And then in January, I think we started to work down the route. Let me just have a look.
Yeah, up until that point, the 1:34:20 to Giant Steps 1:33:32 was the longest time between run world records. But after that, the next biggest ones are KJ between, I think, June 2016 to November 2016, or is it December to June? Yeah, December to June.
Yeah. If I go to speedrun.com actually. Because there might even be a so even now, like the last time KJ got a record was in July 2017, so I think that would be the longest downtime of.
Yeah, it's been a full year.
It's been a full year if you don't count, because right now it's quite interesting because Clean has matched KJ's with loads time. They're tied, and that's what the speedrun.com site goes off of, because there's some people who don't have a loadless time, and there's some people who used an older method of loadless, which was actually quicker. So right now the speedrun.com page uses with loads. So for that reason, it means that KJ and Clean are tied right now, and KJ is only faster by 6 seconds for the loadless time. So I guess that would be the longest downtime, but that might change soon. But I'm just trying to remember, because the one thing I also remember is that the 1:43:17, which at the time was a record, and I think I highlighted and it got like 3 viewers. I didn't like put it on YouTube or anything. Was the day that Fable Anniversary came out. I remember streaming in the early afternoon, looking forward to streaming Fable Anniversary in the evening, sort of thing. And then also being very disappointed when it turned out that the game was poo at the time, upon release. Like when it had no mouse support and things were all over the place and all of that. And like when it wasn't even called Fable Anniversary.exe, it was like questviewer.exe and it had the wrong icon and all of that jazz. So yeah, 1:43:17, that was on the 12th of September. Then 2014. There's 201 here. What is this? Yeah, this was a 1:50:03. I'm trying to remember what that would have been with. Was it a race? So I guess this would have been when I was racing against Blasted. So here's a this. Let me just have a quick look. I don't remember this run. So apparently I was on world record pace at one point, and the game crashed when going to fight Thunder, and then yeah, everything stopped, which was sad.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah. I remember there was one run which I almost got world record on, and then it was because at the time the big killer was Dragon Jack, because we didn't know how to do it optimally. So if you didn't do it perfectly, you were in big trouble, and that was basically run over. So it was tense till the last minute. And I remember losing a good run to that. It probably would have been a 1:35 pace run. I can probably find it somewhere.
There's no need. We don't need to look at every single attempted PB video.
Yeah. Well, I've got them all. Everything from 2013 till today.
That's good. It's good to have record keeping people. Because some people are just like, yeah, we because so one of the things that, this is kind of off script, but one of the things that apparently Summoning Salt has mentioned is that he wanted to do a video on the Luigi's Mansion games, or game at least, the runs, and there's no historians in that group. Apparently, like, people will know like 2015 forward, but before 2015 or whatever, like, nobody has any idea about anything that happened with Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so it's like there's nothing beyond just like a year or two's worth of history, and it's like that's like a 15 to almost 20-year-old game, and there's nothing there. It's like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's quite sad when stuff like that happens. Also, I apparently have a lot of 1-second recordings here. Like, I'm just opening it and it's just like a recording for a single second and then it stops. And it's just like, it's a black screen with live split. I mean, it paints a picture.
You can take those live split images and see where your time and how it's improved.
Yeah.
It's a snapshot.
So here's a run I did back in... This would have been early 2015, because I think it was that I had some on and off attempts to beat the record again, but it was never really anything too fancy. And if I go back to Giant Steps, this might have even been my attempt to beat him, because the 1:34.20, as far as I remember, was the last time I ever held the record. So let's see. Yeah, so this was a week after Giant Steps beat my record. I think this was my attempt at beating him, which didn't go so well.
Back to Giant Steps. So he beat your time by like 2 minutes, I think it was. Yeah. No,
less than that.
He PB'd by 2 minutes, but he beat you by 50 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as I remember, there wasn't actually any changes to the route. I think it was just that he did things better, because I remember 1:34.20. The bit I remember was White Balverine being really slow, like I made some kind of mistake on that. And I think he didn't. But as far as I remember, there was no route changes. The only thing that would have maybe changed, and let me just confirm this, because I think one of the big changes from here was finding that digging in Necropolis was, like, rather than digging every grave, you could just check the graves.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes, and so he does know about the gravestones in Necropolis, but this is also the first one with summon clipping. So he summon clips into the cliffside path door, and then he still grabs the bandit gear, but he there's no bandits there, so he just kind of bruises through.
Hold on a second. Let me just have a look at this, because I'm pretty sure he got some like 1 second. So he got some godlike RNG in that during Necropolis, the very first 2 graves had two of the, what's it called in them?
Tablets or whatever.
Yeah, tablets, glyphs.
Glyphs. That's
so, yeah.
an idea.
I remember what happened now. You've jogged my memory. So yeah, it was soon after I got my run. So the 1:34.20. That was earlier than I thought. It's September 2014. So that would have been the sort of like period of no activity. And I remember then in November, it was either after Blasted did a run or he did a stream afterwards, which was the summon clipping finding from Valiant North. And let me, because that can pretty quickly probably be brought up. The forum, God, SDA is such an old website.
I know. It's a relic.
Speaking of relics, there's literally 6 people online there.
Yeah, I know it.
That's 6 people with logins. I guess people don't log in if they do. If they do runs.
I'm pretty sure those people just have like a separate monitor where they just keep up the thing for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Or just keep a tab open just because.
Yeah, I think some people just haven't logged out, like it's one of those IRC things or something. Because this is how old we're talking. We go to forum. Fable. And this was like where I sort of scoured to find information about, because at the time this was like the only resource there was for finding new strats and stuff, was the SDA. There was like the SDA forum thread with for Fable, and then there was like a couple of other posts, and that was it. And then it was in this one that Valiant North found posted about the run, the summon clipping.
Is Valiant North in the a major community member? I'm looking. I don't know if I recognize that name.
Like again, not to be rude, but it was like he played quite a small role. It was like he found the summon clipping, or he it was not even that he found it, because again, like I think you and Clean went back and forth last week about it. It was that it was already a known thing of, oh hey, you can like get on some tables and stuff with summon clipping, with summon. I think even back then I knew about getting under the floor in Archon's Folly, which is still like a tradition today of go under the floor, show off a little bit and then crash the game. But no one ever thought that you could skip stuff with it, because I think again back then it was that we thought we could only go up on top of stuff rather than through stuff, if that makes sense. It was like you could get on top of a table, or you could get on top of a fence, but you couldn't go through something. It was Valiant North that found that, oh hey, you can go through stuff with it. And then and then from there we worked it out. Yeah,
logically those are two different things, going like to a direct line of sight and then going through like an object.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those don't really translate. Yeah. So I can see why you wouldn't immediately think, oh, we can use this to skip thing. But as soon as you found you can, then it's like, what else can we skip?
Yeah, so there was 2 distinctive points I remember. So there was me finding out about how to effectively clip with the Bandit Gate, because I remember it was back in that sort of 6 months of no activity. So from September until when Giant Steps beat my record, there was sort of like that period of 0 activity whatsoever. And that was like, there was a week of us freaking out about, oh my god, this is going to be insane, because if you look at the forum post by Valiant North, he hypes it up a lot. I'll be honest, he hypes it up a lot and saying, oh yeah, we can skip basically everything in the game, and then it turned out to be like, oh yeah, we can skip like 2 things in total. I remember
I'll pull it up on the capture, but I read, I have broken this game in bold.
Yeah.
I have discovered 25 glitches, clip through almost anything, out of bounds in every single map, clip through any object door. Yeah, definitely a lot of absolutes. I've highly optimized the following parts of the run.
Yeah, and
he does mention Berserk rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I need to read up on this thread.
Oh, does he mention Berserk rolling? Oh yeah, so I guess he would have been, I guess maybe KJ saw this and adapted off that, but I think even then I looked at that one, and because in all honesty I sort of rolled my eyes at a lot of it because it was so like exaggerated, I think I probably overlooked that bit. So
yeah, to be honest, I don't blame you.
It's like one of those things where I remember seeing this forum post, and it was like, it was either very late in the evening or it might have even been very early in the morning, and I sort of woke up, sort of rolled onto my computer and watched Blasted like clip through stuff. Like he was streaming and he was just clipping through things. Like the distinctive memory I have was him clipping through the Bargate prison gate. Like it was the warden's room, like, you know, where he reads the poems. I remember him clipping through the door of that and going out of bounds, and me freaking out about it, but not being able to do anything at that exact time. Because at the time, the thing we wanted to do was find Kraken Skip, which has now been extended into Prison Skip, but the thought was, if we could skip the Kraken somehow, that would save several minutes, and that eventually evolved into, obviously, finding Prison Skip, but which obviously still hasn't been found yet, but I remember us fighting.
There's a bounty.
Yeah, there's a bounty, $250, and put that in the video.
Will do.
Yeah, I remember us thinking when we found some clip, our first thought was, great, we can skip Kraken now. And I think that's probably why we didn't work on it further, was because we couldn't skip the Kraken with it, and to this day we still can't. I can't remember what it was specifically about the Kraken, but I just remember, I think it was just that it was out of all the fights, it was one of the longest boss fights. So we just thought, let's try and skip this.
Yeah, there's a lot of cycles to it. You have to wait in between. Mm-hmm. Not to mention you have all your skills back, your willpower and stuff. So you could, in theory, actually do a summon clip.
Yeah.
But I guess the barriers are too thick, or you can't exit the area, or...
It's a bit of column A, bit of column B. So it was like, as far as I know, you can't clip that barrier. There is a way, I believe, to clip under, like, into the water there, but you can't really navigate out.
I've seen KJ do it.
You can't really navigate out, and even when you can, like, basically, because I think also our thought was, at the time, was, hey, there's, like, surely if you just get past that barrier, the trigger to end the quest will be there, and it'll be great. And then, obviously, we found out nowadays that is not the case, but that was, like, the big thing that we thought. And then it was when... I think we even looked at the time, so it was Kraken Skip and skipping Twin Blades Camp, because I remember there was a run, and I think that this is even on my Twitch, where I tried to do a run and I died during Abandoned Road, and I remember that being a really big sticking out point of a Fable. That was like a big run killer at the time, was don't die at Abandoned Road, and that was why we incorporated health as an upgrade. Yeah, that's why we started getting health upgrades, and then it was that I stopped, and then I died, so I immediately started doing it again, and then we found summon clipping, so I stopped doing it again, and it was great. So
there we go.
Yeah, I remember back in November we initially thought, oh yeah, let's skip the gate, and I remember us not really being able to skip it. Like, I think we might just skip it like once in like several hours of attempts. So we're just like, all right, screw it. And this is not useful because it's so inconsistent. And then it would have been the videos that I sent you. I'll send them to you again, just so they're there. But it was back in January of 2015 that I was like, I sort of revisited it and was like, okay, we can actually work on this. And I guess that's where Giant Steps Blasted and I all worked on it. Because back then,
go. I was gonna say, I was gonna continue the next question. So if you're gonna
keep
going on this point, so you're talking about early January 2015. So I'm guessing at that point, Giant Steps was starting to do more runs and was getting PBs.
Yeah, so it looks like he was working on the run and getting a lot of PBs, and also looking at it, the thing I said where I was trying to beat Giant Steps this time, that was actually a race of all things. So that was just us sort of racing. I remember at some point in 2014, which might even be highlighted or on... Actually, the best place to go would be Speedruns Live, because we did all our races back then, back when that site was relevant as well. Yeah, I'm firing shots there. I mean, it's true, like...
You're not wrong.
Because it was like the thing back then of everyone went to Speedruns Live to find Fable runs. or not Fable runs, just any runs.
Right.
And also, I did when I was here a little while ago, I did see something that might be of interest to you, just off the record. So that's Fable Anniversary, Fable Lost Chapters.
I'm looking, the very first race on TLC was between Stone Knot, Large Dildo, and Greg.
Greg forfeited. Bad showing, Greg. You know what? I could probably see if they have a Twitch profiles, because it might even be that they have some kind of VOD of this. Okay. This guy doesn't. It'd be interesting to see if there is a VOD of any of these runs. It doesn't look like it. Also, don't go to Large Dildo's Twitch channel, because apparently in the sidebar he just has like essentially porn in like where would normally be like live still or whatever, but
yeah, I saw. I already was there.
And then immediately left. So yeah, that would have been March 2014, and this was like, I guess it was like one of those things where it was just an extended playthrough, because it's 4 hours. It wasn't even anywhere close to an actual proper run. And then it was again October, so you can see October 2014 if you're on the page.
Blasted in Etem,
yeah. And this was just us sort of doing runs, and then there was the All Silver Quest race, because I remember Blasted wanting to sort of route and do All Silver Quests, and then him never getting around to it when he abandoned Fable. So yeah, we can even see the oh bloody hell! So this is an interesting one. The run that I found initially and said, oh, this was probably me trying to beat Giant Steps this time. That was a race. That was between me and Giant Steps. And of all people, KJ was there, and this was February 15th. Because I remember, and yeah, this is on record, was that he was starting to do runs, and it was all of us in Giant Steps' chat, and I remember him saying, oh, I'm just learning a run, I'm up to arena, and this would have been February, and him saying, oh, you guys are such a nice community or something, so I'm just patting myself on the back a little bit there. And I remember him doing that race, and then us doing the no upgrades, which we now call level 1 spells race, and we did that 2 days after my birthday, because I remember, again, this was the days of Skype, and this probably would have been when the Skype, because back then we had the Skype group, and this was, and that was before the days of Discord, and this was when it was, I believe it was me, Blasted, Giant, I remember Blasted wasn't really in there much. It was that usually we would message each other on Steam, because by then, sort of like around 2015, he sort of stopped playing Fable as a proper speedrun.
Yeah, his last race was mid-January 2015, but you can see that after that, I don't think he does any more runs.
Yeah, so it was Giant Steps, myself, Blasted, and then KJ, Big Law, Giant Steps' brother, who actually does play quite an important role, because he was the one who found that oh hey, you can look at the graves. It was him and Giant Steps was like, oh yeah, you can look at the graves and find all of the stuff in prison. Sorry, not prison.
Nice.
What am I talking
Necropolis.
about? Necropolis, yeah, sorry. It's been a long day, that's my excuse.
It's all good.
So he did play quite a big role, because apparently he was like with him and Giant Steps were like the glitch hunters, because it was almost like they had their own sort of community bubble of just them two, and then Blasted and I had this sort of like bubble of just us two, and then we obviously intersected when we found each other's streams and stuff, and then from there it was like we all made the Skype group, and then it was like we made the Skype group just to do a Skype call. And then we just sort of kept doing it. It was like, oh, we should keep this just in case we want to do another race or something. And then, obviously, we did do some races, and then it was like, we just brought people in, and if there was any runs or something, we could find them there. I'm just trying to see if I can go back. Annoyingly, you can't really see Skype logs, because They don't go back as far as I'd like. Also, you can't see Skype groups anymore, which is a bit of an annoyance.
Well, it's probably a good thing Skype is dead anyways. So.
Oh, here we go. I found it.
Hey, nice.
So, it was also, as another side note, we moved to the Discord, I believe, once we found Aeon's clipping, which was November the 10th of November.
2015?
2016, this was.
Oh, 2016. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Because I remember it was back in October, I found out about Discord. It was like, it was one of those things where back at the time, we, I think me and just some IRL friends were on Skype, and we just had some trouble with it. And I was like, there's this thing called Discord. Should we just give it a try? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, I made this server and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, this is so easy. And then we all worked from there. And that would have been probably I don't think it would have been 2016. It probably would have been... It might have been... No, I'm just trying to think. It would have been 2015, god. So we still used the Skype group for a year, so we sort of just made the group. Everyone came in there, but nothing really happened with it. And then when Aeon's clip happened, we all sort of... That was sort of like the point where we migrated over. So the last message was us saying, oh yeah, you happy for everything to move over to the Discord.
What specifically about Aeon's clip made you want to move over? If you don't mind me asking.
Also, just to... one sec. Control escape. Oh, okay. So, I believe Big Clean has just gotten a record. He's just messaged me right now.
Just now?
Just now.
Is he streaming?
Yeah.
And I missed it?
Well, I don't think he was streaming. It looks like he was... I guess, well done, very, very much live. Well done, Clean, for beating the record.
Hey, a big boy.
So you go, here's the...
Has he posted anywhere?
He literally just DM'd me right now.
Yo.
So apparently, he went to go toss
16 seconds?
Yeah, so... So he's beaten the with loads and without loads time. Apparently, the last 2 seconds are cut off in OBS, the video, but the audio is still there.
That's crazy.
1 second, I'm just typing to him. There you go. That's something for
Let's
the
go
video.
Clean. Let's go Clean.
Champ.
I like how we have the actual live reaction from you. Like, oh, did he just beat the record?
Well, no, because I heard a bunch of Discord DMs, and it just says 1 in the corner, and then I looked and it said 6 from Clean, and I just clicked it. It's like 109.54. Wait, hold on a second.
109.54 is the in-game time, right?
Yeah,
loadless, I mean.
The loadless is 119.47, so speedrun.com.
Oh yeah, he beat it by 4 seconds there.
Beat it by 4 seconds, and he beat the loadless time by 11 seconds. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's something to stick in the video. YouTube.
I've been told by my editor that I should probably talk to Clean as well, just to have like 3 interviews. So I should do that now. Mm-hmm. Well, not that I wouldn't do it before, but
yeah, because he played a very big role in the early days. Let's see, because I can't remember, and I really hate myself for it, but I can't remember when we last, when he joined the community. I think it was he says it's around the time that KJ was in the community.
Yeah, if you look at their submitted PBs, I believe they're right about the same time. Mm-hmm. It's like February or March of 2015.
So yeah, I can. Yeah, no. So he would have been in the community the same time, because I remember he he had, I think, computer issues because he was in the no upgrades race as well.
Yeah. He is his first run submitted was February 3rd, 2015, and KJ's was around the same time, I believe.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's that one, and that's
February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Because we had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. He's sent me a video. 1 sec. Not of the whole run, of the. Yeah, so it is a bit cut off at the end, like the final cutscene isn't there. But the rest of it is there. So yeah, he probably would have joined the community around the same time if I go to his speedrun.com page. Because I remember also one of the things was when we switched over, because originally it was also, as a side note, the speedrun.com page was originally real time and in-game time, the two categories.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried changing it to with loads, without loads, and in doing so messed up the whole leaderboard, and every real time became without loads, and all the in-game times disappeared. So I had to go back and get every single one. And then in doing so, it was like one of those things where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna grab every single run, get every single highlight I can of everything, and just put it all in the leaderboards for posterity. And I guess it's paying off here. So it looks like, yeah, Clean's first run was February the 3rd, 2015. So this was a submission. It says plenty of time to save, but a good first full run, I think. Sorry, I'm just reassuring Clean that this is absolutely fine. Because he's...
No, it's invalid. Sorry.
Well, no, it's because if I might as well send you the video as well. It's that the final cutscene is it looks like he pressed Control and Escape there, so it's not present.
So I'm trying to think. In that case, you see the Jack fight, and then as soon as he puts the mask on, hang on, okay.
Oh no, it's the so it's the when the cutscene starts for like Dragon Jack dying, everything from there to the time of finishing. Because it's that he alt tabs and then he tabs back in. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna... So yeah, that's a that was a big thing in between.
Hell yeah. So
looks like he's going to restream the record in a bit. So I guess we can keep going until then, and then wrap it up, and then if there's anything else I can always hop on at another point as well.
Okay. I don't want to keep you forever, so
no, I'm happy to stay as long as I need to. So if you have any if you shoot through your questions, I'm more than happy to listen. And
Okay. So, I was wondering if you could help me out with some of KJ's times. Like, he saves, like, what, 10 minutes off of world record over the course of, like, it's over the course of a couple months. So, from February 2015 to June 2015, he goes from a 132.29 to a 123.07.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well that's when we found out about Berserk Roll Rush."
Yeah, so I believe his first run. Let's see. His first record run didn't use Berserk rolling. I'm just going to confirm that for you right now. I'm just also trying to remember what was found in between then. Because another thing I remember was the Demon Door clip in Witchwood was Giant Steps. It might have been Blasted or KJ. I think it was it would have been myself, Giant, and KJ. We were on a Skype call and we were working on all of the clips, and most specifically the clip in Witchwood. And I remember because I had a lot of trouble with it. Giant and KJ sort of worked out the strat for that, like the exact methodology of how to get there, and then we worked it down from there.
Okay.
And also one other thing, Clean mentioned it to me, was barrier clip. This is in the...
KJ mentioned that, now I forget who he said. I think he said it was either Giant or... I don't think it was a Man Daddy.
No, it was
probably Giant.
It was Giant, but he said, was back in 2015.
Yeah, he said, I think they were doing a race, and then he's like, I'm going to try barrier clip. Oh, I did it. First try.
Yeah, there you go. So I've just sent you the clip now, and that was during the no upgrades race. So I think we again theorized it, and we was like, oh yeah, we can probably do it, but it's not really it's not very consistent. And then he just sort of did it, and it worked. And then I remember I want to say it was me and Giant worked on it for a while to figure out, oh hey, how do we do this? And I remember still having a lot of trouble with it at the time.
That's pretty great that we have a Twitch clip with that.
Yeah, because it was all highlighted. The whole race was highlighted, which is quite nice. I believe my run is like cut off at the end or something, but it was like, I think nothing interesting happened. It was just us playing the game.
This SCPD guy is really obsessed with the stick, apparently.
Yeah. Interesting fella. Don't put this in the video. Let's see. Is he using Berserk? No, it looks like at this point, so KJ's first record did not use Berserk. And I think that was probably where a lot of the time save came from initially. And I know there was some other time saves. Let me find the other one, because I also want to find the point where we started running the game in French. Because it was... This is another thing to include, and it's another embarrassing moment of mine, is for ages, like back in even like the 2014 days, my thought was, I need to find how quick the game is in other languages, because Japanese is probably faster. Like my first thought was Japanese is going to probably be quicker than English. And that is still true, but there's just other languages. And I remember searching for years on how to change the language of the game, and I couldn't find anything. And I was like going to resort to making a Japanese Amazon account and buying Fable off there and getting like the physical disc, like importing a copy. And I can't remember where it was, but someone just pointed out, oh yeah, you can just go into the Steam settings and just change the game
yeah,
language.
I think I remember that.
I mean, initially, that wouldn't have even been relevant, because I think the first few runs I did, like from until the end of 2014, I ran using the retail disc version of the game.
Oh, I see.
And then it was from 2015 onwards. I didn't have a disc drive in my computer, so I used the Steam version. But I even remember beforehand, I bought the Steam version on a whim just to see if anything was different, and I came to the conclusion that it booted up a bit faster, but that was it. And then I found out, oh hey, you can change language. And then I remember it was KJ and I. We both worked on it for a couple of hours, figuring out which language was faster. And then we came to the conclusion that it was French. That was the quickest run.
I think KJ mentioned that Japanese is one of the slowest languages, just because the spoken language of Japanese is so slow as opposed to the written language. In speedruns, generally, Japanese is the faster version just because Japanese text is so dense. Like, you can get way more info and less characters, but in spoken language, it's not.
And that was our thinking, was even though it was like, obviously other games were ran in Japanese because they had faster text like Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, blah, blah, blah. But at the time, it was just a thought of Japanese is faster for basically every game. We need to... It was half of Japanese must be the faster and half just anything, like just any way to get a different language game sort of thing. I think Japanese, if I get the... because I remember... So actually, Clean has a comparison, and it looks like the slowest language is English.
Yeah, I love how we've been playing on the slowest version the entire time.
Yeah, because it was just the available one. Italian is the second slowest. It's only a couple of seconds faster. Japanese and Spanish are almost tied. German is a couple of seconds faster, and then basically French runs away 20 seconds faster than German. So French is like insanely quick. And also as another one, which isn't on the Steam version, I actually had to acquire a copy of, was the Russian copy of Fable. Because there's two other languages. I believe there's Chinese, Korean, and Polish, but those are all text only. Those aren't actual. The voice lines are in English.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
So it was like one of the things where obviously those aren't faster. But Russian I tested quite recently, and it's 18 seconds slower than French. So it's the second fastest language, funnily enough, I believe. So that's
interesting.
I'm almost quite thankful we don't have to do that, because otherwise it would be like, how do I get the fastest version of Fable? Right now it's you just grab a copy of the you just change it on Steam, rather than you have to pirate it, and here's a illegitimate link, you might get some viruses, lol, sort of thing.
To be fair though, if it was just a 2-second time save over English, I don't think people would go out of their way to do that.
Yeah, well that's the thing, I think it's several seconds faster. It's like 15 to 20 seconds faster than English, but it's compared to French, it's also 15 to 20 seconds slower.
Is French 30 seconds faster?
So compared to English, so judging by Clean's time, it's 34 seconds.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was only like 20 seconds.
No. It was quite a big... So I think that was another one of those things that... So yeah, it looks like KJ got a sub. Because I remember him just getting like a new record every day. So from the first time he got a record, 17th of February, that was 1:32:29. And then the first sub 1:30, which was the 22nd of February. And then him just, like the next run he did a week later, he cut the time down again by like a minute and a half. So this was like when KJ's optimizations came in. Let's see, is this in French?
I think his French one is December 5th, 2015, the 1:21:11. If I remember correctly. Let me pull up the thread. Have you looked at the notes page I made?
The notes page, I haven't yet, no. So unfortunately.
It's the one you shared with me, but I've been working on it a lot.
Oh yeah, I haven't really been in there too much, to be honest. Let's see. So July 2015, there was still French. So that was like he's already in the menu in French and stuff. Let's see.
12307.
So in June, he is running the game in French.
Yeah. 124.26. It was like, it wasn't, I'm trying to remember, it was a world record that I saw him switch. But I don't remember exactly where it was, just because it wasn't like it was a big time save. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. It wasn't like a large period of time between.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Not sure
what is
that
this?
was
The 124.26 in May 2015. He's still running on English. 124.26.
Yeah, so 26th of May, that's still English. The 1st of June is in... Wait for it. Go on, find a bit where there's text.
So I take back what I said. So whenever he switched, he got a world record by 1 minute and 20 seconds. So I thought it was like just a 5-second PB or something that just happened to be in French, but no, it's a bigger one.
124.26 to 123. Yeah. So it was at some point between May and 26th of May and 1st of June that we figured out that French is faster. I think if I was to look, it's probably still in my Skype logs with KJ. Bear with me.
You know what's dumb is I think I wrote down that specific note about when the last run was, and first French world record was 123.07. I had that written down. I forgot about that. I just do all that work. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I'd like to confirm is that we have been an incredibly drama-free community. The biggest drama we had was when Blasted made the load remover, and he wanted everything to switch load remover, and that being the primary, and basically scrapping in-game time entirely. And I was on the fence, and KJ was more leaning towards we should do real time more, because I think the thing he was concerned about was teleport strats, which was like you teleport halfway through an area and then you teleport back, and that loses real time but gains loadless time, sort of thing. I think that was his concern.
Yeah, when I was talking with KJ, he mentioned that the first iteration of the load remover, like it froze on, not menus, but it froze on like the fade out for teleporting, I think.
Yeah, the fade out and fades in. So basically like the variable point. So like you teleport, it does a swirl, and then it stopped when the game started fading out. Or no, actually, I think it was that initially it was faster, so it stopped when you like selected I'm teleporting to Bowerstone South, for instance, and like when it started swirling, I believe that was when the load remover stopped initially, and then we had a discussion about it. I can't remember when, because it was one of those things where I remember this is a DM from April with him talking about the I can't even call it drama, it's just like disagreements.
Yeah.
And then
every community is going to have some good disagreement whenever a new change comes along, but as long as you have a civil discussion about it.
Yeah, and we there was a bit of uncivilized discussion, like very like initially starting out, but then it was all fine from there. It was just like some butting of heads sort of thing, not really any actual proper arguments of like shouting and swearing at each other. Just the shouting bit. And it wasn't me. I was sort of like sitting on the fence trying to keep these two people calm, and yeah, it didn't go well. But that was literally the most amount of quote unquote drama we've ever had. And then we had to revisit it quite recently. I think some point in 2017. So it was me, Blasted, Big Law, Clean, KJ, and myself, and Giant. So we all came as a committee and decided what we should do about it. And it turned out that there was an error in Blasted's code, which meant that the teleport was being counted like, oh, let me just fix this. And then it basically fixed all our disagreements, because it was that KJ thought, oh, hey, we shouldn't allow, like the big points were at Prison Path, like when you find the rescue the archaeologist, there was a strat where you teleport and teleport back to save you having to walk all the way through Prison Path again. And it was like, it was a little bit faster game time. Like, it was faster game time, and it was like slightly variable real time. It basically depended on how good your rushes and rolls were. So that was one of those things where they sort of didn't want to, they wanted to forbid it. And I was like, well, if it's faster, we include it, sort of thing. And it's such a negligible loss of of real time that it's like, we might as well. Because it was always, we always, as a community, 100% agreed that the in-game game time was completely pants, because...
Yeah. What did you say? Just completely pants?
Yeah. Like, because the issue is that the SDA run and all the SDA runs went by that, and that was like, me and Blasted initially, like, that was the first thing we agreed on, was like, yeah, we're not using the in-game time because it's crap.
Yeah, it's definitely garbage. That British saying is hilarious.
Yeah, because the main issue was that it pauses when you're in a menu, and a lot of the game is menu work. So not only is it not rewarding good menu work, but also the fact that because it pauses during the menu, I said if anyone ever came up to me and said no, in-game time is better for Fable, I would send them a recording of me at Bowerstone South spending an hour buying and selling potions to get 100,000 gold. So it'd be like an hour, but it would be no in-game time. So then I could get the Master Longbow and save like 30 seconds. So that's a faster strat, you know? Yeah. But it'd be like real time. It'd be like an hour slower or something stupid. And it's just like, that's obviously a hyperbole, but like, it's a very good demonstration of this isn't ideal. And also there was no way to measure it while the game was actually going, sort of thing. So it was like you wait until the end of the run to find out how well you did. No, thank you.
Yeah, not to mention that it's part of the credits that goes towards your in-game time.
Yeah, that as well.
In the actual statistics, so that means every run that you had to do would have to watch the credits. And then you would have to check the file afterwards.
It's also worth mentioning, I guess, because I'm not sure if this is in your notes, but there is a run of Blasters which is before the 138, I believe, which it was a 149 or something, so he did beat the record. But at the time, he used a mod for credit skip. So it was basically like he deleted some files to speed up the credits, because it was like one of those things where we just wanted to wait. But so obviously that run is invalid nowadays, but it is still it was still the first beaten time of the game up until that point, sort of thing, until he got the 148.
Yep, I watched that video.
I remember because just at the end, I think it was like the first time he used the package, you're like, holy shit. Because obviously it was like the first time that this run of 4 years had been beaten or something insane. Yeah, so
Colleen is streaming the Fable.
Yeah, cool. I guess this is a good point to call it a day. I've got the recording here. I can press stop on it and send that over to you.
If you want to just